everybody. Rachel Boucher at Event Marketer here, and welcome to a little thing we like to call your pre-summer event ops. We're chatting about event execution, operations, and production with the ops leaders who make so much of the magic happen. Today, we're talking summer events, we're talking tariffs, we're talking about the front lines with the people who live there. And I'm excited about today's guests. Abby Bunker heads up all operations at experiential agency Moon Lab. Hey, Abby.
Hello, nice to be here.
Brianna Cornegay heads up all brand experience operations at Game Square. Hi, Brianna.
Hey, everybody.
And of course, back is my friend and co-host and our partner on Event Ops, Matt Andrews, who is Senior Vice President at Highmark Outdoor, a provider of outdoor structures for event agencies and their clients. So I'm excited to have everybody with me today. Let's get into it. Brianna, let's set up the summer experiential marketing season. We were just talking about this a little bit. How is ops changing? What's the same and what's different? You know, this will be the summer of what?
This will be the summer of innovation. I do think clients are, they're demanding more with less time, less money, less resources, but they still want to bring that experience. You know, we're living in a time right now where I think that it's really hard for businesses and marketing and to get the funds up. So we're having to be extremely creative in what we are building and how we're presenting that to the consumer because everybody is social, right? So it's like we have to take a more integrated approach. Whereas before, it was just like, hey, we just want to go on a mobile marketing tour. We want to do a pop-up, you know, a table, some chairs, some giveaways. But now it's like, oh no, we have to look at the whole picture. How do we, you know, get it on social? How do we make it go viral? How do we do content with this? So it's going to be a hot summer. It's going to be a lot of content. And people want to be on your phones, on your digital billboard, as my husband calls it.
Abby, your thoughts on the state of event ops?
Yeah, kind of building off of what Brianna said. It's going to be a summer of smart impact for us here at Moon Lab. Clients still want experiences that are custom and meaningful, but as we all know, budgets and timelines are not getting any bigger. So we've really leaned into creativity with constraint. And that just means smaller teams, tighter builds, sharper focus on what actually connects with audiences. And honestly, the constraint has become a bit of a superpower for us. Unlimited time and budget can kind of lead to bloated ideas when you've got all the time in the world and all the budget in the world. It's, you know, you've got a lot more to run with. So when you're operating within tighter parameters, it just forces you to be a bit more intentional and more focused. So at the end of the day, those constraints have helped help us lock in on what matters, which is making work that's strategic, memorable, and human.
Yeah, and Abby, let's dig into that a little bit from a timing standpoint. Agencies wish clients gave them more lead time for planning and execution, but it seems you have less and less. So how are ops teams managing larger experiences that may come with smaller timeframes?
Yeah, we've built our ops to move fast without sacrificing quality. Just recently, we had a pitch that we had to turn around a deck in less than 24 hours. And kind of to my previous note, I really think the tight timeline actually helped us push to get really creative, logistically, creatively, and budgetarily. Also, having an in-house fabricator at our agency has really been a game changer. It cuts vendor delays, gives us more control, lets us stay flexible. A great example of that is we produced 2 trade show booths back to back earlier this year for the same client, and we designed their booth to be about 80% reusable between those 2 trade shows. So that kind of planning really helped us move quickly without compromising the creative or going over budget.
Yeah. And Matt, you know, shrinking timelines create even thinner timelines for suppliers who handle the structures for those experiences. How has Highmark gotten a few things dialed so that you can move even faster when agencies call in an order for, you know, an outdoor structure?
Right. I'll tag on to Abby's a little bit, kind of the same methodology, right? So we're trying to do things that obviously our structures are very, very modular and they go together a certain way. So one of the things that we'll do is we do what we call our pull and prep on the back end, right? So if a project goes out and it comes back, we're going through that project when it comes home. right? So we're making sure things are in good working order again, or need to be repowder coated, or whatever. We actually have a whole new team called rental refurb. Most of what we do is rental. So the rental refurb team goes through that project, make sure it's good to go again, and then when they put it on the shelf and store it, it is ready for market. So we can move. We're pretty nimble then. If Abby or Brianna calls and says, "Hey, we're doing something in NASCAR in Chicago in 2 weeks," right? So great. Let's figure out what it is, and then we can pull it off the shelf and move forward. So we try to do as much planning, as much refurbishment and fabrication pre-show, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And we're finding that brand side clients are asking for ops to be in the room during agency pitches, and more of them want to understand costs and deadlines. Brianna, why the sudden interest among clients to better understand ops and production?
Yeah, I think it's because everybody's trying to make good use of their dollar, right? They want to see, what is my return on investment? What am I getting for this amount of money that I'm paying? We work with some advertising agencies, and they have their clients. So now they're asking us to be in the room with their client, which we've never done that before. And I think there's a way that event ops, like our production teams, can sell it. Whereas when you're pitching something to your client, they have to pitch it to their client. So it's like you're like the third party. And a lot of times that can hinder our clients from actually winning that business with their clients. So I think it's just it's like the year of partnerships now, where it's like, hey, we need you to be in the room because you guys came up with the strategy. You guys need to sell this, help us sell it. We'll bring in the funds, and then those funds translate to you. For example, like at Game Square, we have seven different subsidiaries. So we do content, internet, culture. We have mission supply. We do so many different things, and we have some proprietary software that we built from the ground up. So it's like we're the best ones who can sell it. So why not help our clients sell it to their clients?
Yeah. And Matt, do you see a general increase across the industry? Like on this topic, are event marketers starting to speak ops?
Yeah, 100%. So we deal mostly with folks just like Brianna and Abby, right? Because we're going into, we're going Austin City Limit. That's going to be a 80 by 16 double deck with a viewing platform upstairs, but everything has to be enclosed downstairs. So we're talking about that project with folks who are on the call here, in advance. So they're in the room with the client saying, "Hey, yeah, that's cool, but we can't do that because your load in's only 3 days instead of 4 or whatever." So we see it a lot more, and it's great. And we were all, we speak the same language, which is great. And it's the folks we want in the room because they know our systems well enough because of all the calls we've already done and figured some things out that they can be nimble in the spot in front of the client. If the client's asking for something that is just completely undoable, or something that, oh yeah, we can do that. We might have to shave off 16 feet on this side, but that's totally doable. So it's exciting to see. We like talking to ops people, and it's thrilled to be involved in it.
Yeah. On the topic of costs, Abby, you talked about in-house fabrication, that being a sort of a strength, right? Like something useful, but how are you working differently to keep costs in check and timelines doable? And is that one of the ways, just having some sort of in-house expertise? Talk a little bit about just like costs and keeping costs down.
Yeah. So the way that we've been working with fabricators has really shifted. They're our creative partners. They're not just an end step. We bring them in early, so we're co-developing the concepts with them from day one. We make sure that what we're dreaming up is actually buildable within budget and timeline. And sometimes we're actually even bringing the fabricators in onto client calls. It's not super common, but it does make a difference. Clients like to meet the humans behind the build, which builds trust and helps with decision making. And then we're also leaning into modularity. So how can a build flex across multiple shows or markets? It's just more sustainable and more smart financially. So it's added transparency across the board, helps with it, real-time quoting, material monitoring, domestic sourcing. It just helps us hit the budget from the start, and then instead of having to adjust later.
Yeah. Brianna, your thoughts on costs? Is there a rising cost line that keeps you up at night?
Yes, we've been in the business, or I've been in this industry for 15 plus years. And, the cost of a 10 by 10 tent is not the same as it was back in the early 2000s. Everything kind of keeps us up at night when it comes to cost, because as Abby was saying before, clients want more for less budget. They want it faster, and the rush fees. And then COVID has impacted us so much with just the resources that our partners have on site with them. A lot of people are working remote. The warehouses are not the same as they used to be. Space, everybody needs space, whether that's warehouse space, fabrication space. All of that has just increased so much. So everything, it costs a lot, but you have to find those good partners, and that takes time. But once you do find those trusted partners, that makes a world of a difference, because it's kind of like they get guaranteed business. Anytime you win something, you're passing it to them, and so that keeps them sustainable, that keeps them in business, and it keeps them continuing to grow and to get a little bit more streamlined in their production.
Yeah. And Brianna, let's talk tech. GameSquare esports events are some of the most streamed experiences on the planet. Can you talk a little bit about how event tech stacks are changing to help event content get scaled to the most people possible?
Oh, they are changing, okay? Because now we have to consider how is this live physical event here? How do we translate that to the at-home audience? We have to think about streaming on Twitch, streaming on YouTube, streaming on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, turning these live streams into content. We have to think about graphics. What kind of graphics? What is that at-home viewer experience? So, we have some really great partners, some broadcast partners that we are working with, and they are constantly developing new ways, more streamlined ways, cloud-based, AI tech. They're integrating all of that in to reach more people, to just broadcast on more platforms. It's becoming more expensive, because you need more bandwidth. You need more Wi-Fi. Like, Wi-Fi isn't even good enough anymore. You need like a hard line to you almost need a cell tower inside of your event, especially if you have an event with over 100,000 people. The signals get jammed and everything like that, and you're trying to broadcast. But at GameSquare, we have a content company called Fourth Frame, and so they've been live at Coachella, and they executed like seamlessly. It was high quality HD, and so but it took some time. The clients need to give us time to develop what that event stack, that tech stack looks like. That way we can ensure seamless performance on site.
Yeah. Let's shift gears a bit to weather. Wildfires, floods, earthquakes, hurricanes, extreme weather is becoming a bigger topic, and going into the summer months especially. Abby, how is weather impacting your job and the events you create?
Yeah, it's no longer something that we just monitor. It's a part of the actual scope when we're building out our contracts, our budgets. So building in contingency plans for every project now, that's from rain coverage to wind load tolerances to even monitoring air quality when wildfire season is upon us. And then our pre-pro checklists for like evacuation plans, emergency tenting, backup signage, safe zones for staff and guests. So we used to once design for aesthetics, and now we're really designing for endurance at this point. We've had projects in snowstorms, amongst wildfire smoke, in humidity, you name it. And it's forced us to just really level up in everything from materials to rigging to adhesive. So it's definitely more complex, but it also builds confidence with the clients, because they know now that we're not just thinking about how something looks, but planning for how it holds up in the real world.
Yeah. Matt, has the rise of extreme weather changed anything at Highmark Outdoor? Or how agencies use your structures?
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled to hear Abby talk about all the contingency planning, because we like to do that with clients as well. If that, then this. We have an overbuilt structure. There's no way around. So we have an extremely strong structure, especially the outdoor double deck product, or it can be single story as well. But that is a strong structure, and it's designed to be that way. Is it overbuilt? Yes, but that's good news for contingency planning or lay down planning or whatever you're doing. It's important to have, I would think, for event marketers that are listening in or tuning back into this, if you're doing a container or a tent or something like that, you really want to kind of dig into the engineering of it. Like if you just have a nebulous stamp on a tent that they say, well, this is good in all 50 states, like that's probably not the right direction, right? You want to understand where that structure is going in space and time, what's around it, what can happen around it, right? Is it on the side of a hill or out on a beach or basalt or whatever? Like, so you need to have it stamped for that space and that time when it's going to be out there. And we're really proud of that. We're proud of the structure. We're proud of our engineering behind it and an engineering group that does our stamp drawings for us. So just something to keep in mind as your contingency planning. Can the structure, is the engineering even there to start with?
Yeah. Brianna, final thoughts on the impact of weather on ops and production?
Yeah, as Abby said, we have a backup plan and a backup plan. And as Matt was saying, with these structures, the engineering is so key. It's so important. And now the good thing about it is now when we're dealing with event promoters, they also they're elevating their requirements as well. They're like, okay, we get it. You go around the country and you set up this tent or this structure. That's fine for, New York City, but it's not good for LA. You have to change all of these things. And I do think as production teams, we're doing a better job of communicating that to the client, because that's something that they really don't think about. It's just like, we just want this structure, what does it take? They don't understand, like, you're going to have to spend more money depending on where the state is at, depending on their requirements. I know for sure California, some of the cities in California changed their requirements just due to the wildfires and the winds. Now it's much more elevated, it's more strict. You have to have the weight to sustain pretty much a tornado. And we know with more weight, more blocks, that's way more money. We're talking thousands and thousands of dollars. So for all the people watching out there, clients included, when you're thinking about these budgets, you have to think about the safety of the people, because we can have an event and have fun all day, but your structure has to be safe, your event has to be safe, and the people have to be safe, because the last thing you want is like a PR disaster, because we just wanted to have a brand activation and it was wildfires and windy, and now you have embers flying and then your tent's on fire. So, so many things to think about. Yeah. So we're working diligently behind the scenes to make sure all aspects are safe.
Yeah. And Brianna, I'll stay with you. We're starting to see production teams slowly begin to test and use AI. Is your ops team using any AI tools? And if so, which ones and for what?
So we pretty much see AI more so on like the creative teams. Some of our ops teams are using them, but it's more so just for like the production and the timeline. As Abby was saying, the quick turnarounds, the quick timelines. Some of those tools we use, like ClickUp, we use those to earmark, like, okay, we need to get this done in a day. In 2 days, we need to make sure we have this done, just so we can keep up with all of the demands and the tight turnarounds. We've used Asana before. That's a great project management tool. There's a couple other tools, but we're not really on the production side. They're more so organizational tools. They're not doing the work for us. And I do want to just point out, a lot of people think that AI is just like so easy to use and it can replace jobs. I don't really feel that way, because you still need the amazing people to work those tools. As Abby was saying, you have smaller teams, you have more streamlined productions because the budgets are tighter. So you just have to make sure you're using the tools, and the people you're hiring on your team know how to use those tools to operate a little bit more efficiently. I feel like it just it just enhances the ideas that you already have. It just helps.
Yeah. Abby, are you starting to explore AI in your
Yeah,
ops?
AI actually has been a pretty hot topic with us this year, especially. And it's become quite a powerful tool, I will say, for us in operations. Anything from creating templates to spreadsheets. I just learned in the last couple of weeks that you can have ChatGPT make an Asana task board for you if you just tell it what you need, and then you can export it. So anything that kind of helps us move faster and keeps our system clean and consistent. We're using it to audit workflows, flag inefficiencies, research compliance needs, and it's really speeding up the way that we're working without replacing any of the human elements. On the creative side, we do experiment with a few platforms just to kind of mock up ideas quickly in the beginning pitch phases to really help us sell the ideas. From then, we'll bring on, of course, the design team to create from scratch and build on that idea. But for us, it's really just about efficiency and kind of leveling up our day and freeing up time and bandwidth to get more done in the day without, replacing the magic.
Yeah. Brianna and Abby, the ops teams often carry the execution of an event program's eco-friendliness. And Brianna, I'll turn to you first. Are clients asking for more eco-friendly programs, and which parts of your programs are going green, and how is operations making that happen?
Yeah, so they're definitely wanting to be eco-friendly, and how they're doing that is just reducing their carbon footprint, reducing how much they're using and throwing away, especially. Our clients are asking for more modular staging, reusable assets is a big, big thing, because also something that we can build where we can reskin it year after year and make it look different, but they have that one-time investment where you're getting something very quality. Transportation and travel, a lot of times our clients will come to us and say, hey, we have a 50 city tour, we want to stop here and there. And sometimes we'll say, okay, well, hold on, let's route this and make sure that we are being, eco-friendly. We're not going from LA to New York, back to Vegas, then over to Miami. We're trying to help. That not only saves them money, it saves them on gas, time, truckers. We know that, being on the road with a big truck, there's only so many hours in the day that they can drive. So we want to be efficient, and we want to reach as many people as possible. Transportation and travel, we're trying to be more streamlined. Every single person that worked on the project doesn't need to go to market, maybe find someone local. And that also gives everybody an opportunity to have their hands on, something that's great, but you just have to make sure, of course, that you have those resources that you can depend on in market. And then, of course, just waste management on site and after, just making sure, like, something as little as, recyclable trash cans. That's, so one of our clients, we had a green program. It's going green, eco-friendly, and we had to have that. Like, anything, they didn't want anything printed. It was like digital everything. So that was another way that, clients are looking at us to be more sustainable.
Yeah. Abby, your thoughts?
Yeah, not only are events asking for sustainable event programs, but at our agency, sustainability is one of our core pillars. It's kind of one of our North Stars, and we really do try and integrate sustainability within internally and externally with clients as well. So trade shows is a big one. Clients really want to build smarter and reuse assets in the long term, and it really does end up being cheaper in the long term by investing upfront in reusable assets. We have one client that we've had their same core structure for almost 5 years now, building on it throughout the years and adapting it for different trade shows, different pop-ups in different formats. And then also from the ops side, we make that possible largely by offering full storage solutions for our clients. So they can invest in these high quality pieces, and then we'll handle the storage, the maintenance, the reconfiguration between the shows. So it's a huge value add having that kind of one-stop shop in terms of sustainability for us. So yeah, choosing longer lasting materials and modular systems and designing for reassembly, it's better for the planet and the bottom line.
Yeah. And Matt, you offer a 100% rental property, so I assume that's about as sustainable as it gets for you.
Yeah, it makes sense for us, right? To Abby's point. So we develop modular systems architectural structures, right? So whether it's a small pop-up or a great big double deck, I mean, it's a Lego system. So for us, it's just built in our DNA. It's a part of it, right? So we have beams and columns and deck panels and things like that. And they're predominantly made out of steel and aluminum, which is the most recycled two things on the planet, right? So, but it is 100% rental. So if Abby gets to use it for a show in the start of the summer, and then perhaps Brianna at the end, right? But it's the same materials, it's the same things, and so we also do some things smart inside the organization with our cutting fluids and the things that we buy when we travel. Guys, we travel supervisors. We have an awesome labor partner in the outdoor world. Shout out to Nth Degree. They're in 28 cities, so it's local labor, right? With our supervisors traveling to it, and they're trained on our stuff. So kind of built in the DNA already. Obviously, we're planet friendly, but it's important as a systems company to maintain your systems.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So finally, we can leave the client and event name out, but give us one story that worked out, but you almost needed therapy once you got through it. Abby, you're up first.
All right. I come from a background of TV production before events, so I'm no stranger to high stress environments and putting fires out left and right. But a couple summers ago, we were producing an international branded pop-up tour across multiple cities in the US and in Europe. Our team was split across continents for weeks. We were reusing assets across overlapping activations, and it was just super tight shipping timelines. Customs, team travel was just nonstop. And a lot of our team, actually, including the ops team, had to go on site and help out because, we are a small but mighty team. And at one point, I was stuck in a parking lot in Connecticut for up to nearly 24 hours on no sleep, just making sure that a shipment made it to the next stop. So it was chaos, but we pulled it off, and we showed up in every city. We made it work, and it's just kind of this big badge of honor that we all wear now. And it's a reminder that you got to stay calm and get creative and just trust your team, and you can get through anything.
Yeah. Brianna, your turn.
Oh, there's so many. There's so many, but she gave a shipping one. I have so many of those, especially when it comes to customs, but I'm going to go to another one that recently came up. We've been laughing about now, but at the time we did not laugh. We were producing a tour, and the main goal is lead generation. And so, of course, with lead generation, you have a survey, you got to fill it out. You need iPads, right? So we charged the iPads at the hotel. We got to site, and there's no iPads. Now, mind you, we're at an outdoor festival. There's like 50,000 people already on site, and the Fan Fest is about to open. Brand ambassadors are already there, and we're about to train them. So we need an iPad to show them how to do the survey. And so they're like, where's the iPads? Where's the iPads? Everybody's looking, and we're like, we laid the iPads in the parking deck at the hotel. And we called the hotel. Nobody, they were like, we'll go to the parking deck and we'll look, but they didn't see it. It was in a green bag. And so we had to also run back through 50,000 people up the street around the corner. We get to the parking deck and we're looking around. We don't see the bag. It's nowhere to be found. So all of a sudden, a couple gets out of their car and they said, are you looking for a bag? And we're like, yes, we're looking for a bag. It's a green bag. They said, we have that. We didn't know who it belonged to. It was sitting right here in an empty parking space. And we're just like, oh my gosh. So that was really, really crazy because, we're there. There's no other way we could have done the survey because at the time, the app was proprietary. Like you have to download it directly to the iPads. You can't just put it on your phone and keep going. So it just taught us so much, like get there a little early, maybe have a safe on site where you can charge your tech on site, lock it up, have your security, and just anything that you need, just check for it on site first before you get started and get into the routine and getting show ready.
I don't know, Matt, we could probably devote a whole episode to these. So Malia, one of our viewers just to talk about the power of production and prayer. I mean, I'm so sorry.
Yes. Oh, yes. We were praying. So she was there with me and we were praying like, oh my gosh, Lord, please let it be somewhere. Please let somebody like pick it up. And it was just a random couple. They were sitting, waiting in their car in the parking deck next to the parking spot. Like, I don't know. It couldn't have went any better than that.
Yeah.
Did you write them a thank you note, a handwritten thank you?
I hugged that lady so hard. No, but I would pay you, but I don't have any cash. But just thank you because you saved our entire event.
I just want to take 10 seconds to answer a good question that came through on sustainability, if you don't mind, and then we're going to close this out. The question was, are you seeing more budget to work with by pulling from a brand's green initiative buckets? Or is that even available, or is that an option that
I'm
you
going to
see?
change. I'm going to move the question a little bit because I'm going to ask Abby and Brianna jump in there too, because it sounds like you're doing some trade show stuff right now. It seems to be more predominant in trade show with what we're seeing, because Highmark is both trade show and experiential work on the outdoors, but we see it more in trade show. So by all means, Abby or Brianna answer the question, but I would think there would be more budget bucket in indoor trade show than outdoor, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, we haven't seen any green initiative buckets yet come across our tables. We would love to see that. That would help so much more with scaling our sustainability initiative. So I hope to see some of that in the future.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. We haven't seen that. We did have one of the longest running programs that was a green initiative. But since then, we haven't seen any of those. I didn't even know those existed. So that's new to me. Maybe we can ask some of our clients about that, see if they have some funds. That would be great.
That would be a good next chapter in what, we're all trying to do around this topic. Excellent. All right, good. Well, we are finally out of time. And I want to thank Abby from Moon Lab and Brianna from Game Square for joining us. Definitely important to talk about these topics, these changes, these happenings. You can learn more about them and their agencies at moonlabproductions.com and gamesquare.com. As always, big thanks to our partners at Highmark Outdoor, and especially Matt Andrews. You can learn more about them and him at highmarktech.com. So have a great day. And to all the ops teams out there, let the countdown to summer begin. I think you're already in the countdown. It's happening. We're here. And best wishes. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Bye.